I'm Dale Bowman. I'm just retired as the longtime outdoors columnist for the Sun Times, and besides being master gardener and master naturalist, and I love the Kankakee River Basin area. So that's me. And I have my, in case you want to follow up with anything, best email is bowmanoutside at gmail. BOWMAN outside at gmail. So, uh, some of you who were here early saw one of my favorite photos of myself. It was at Medewin National Tallgrass Prairie. I guess I could put that back, but let me see if I can do this. I'm doing a new, um, I'm using Google Slides. If you're not seeing it right, let me know because this is the first time I'm trying it on a Zoom. Um, that photo was taken, it's been a few years now, but it's in one of my favorite months to visit Medewin. I think late July and early August are the most colorful times to see Medewin. So, all right, now let me see if can everyone see that? Is that the start?
What I see is a small, it looks like it could be bison.
Yes.
Okay. Can we make that bigger, I wonder?
That's a good question. This is my first time doing that, Holly. I don't know. Someone has worked with Google Slides before and want
I
to
think
tell me.
if you click slideshow, it should be able to show you it in the presentation mode.
Oh, bless you. Who said that? So that
And
I
then you should be able to just click your space bar to advance.
click on my
Yeah,
what?
look at there. We learn something new all the time, don't we?
Oh, Holly Froning, I'm here for you. It's Shannon Fry. Um,
Okay.
yeah, if you click spacebar, you should be able to advance your slides.
She's my own personal
Oh,
helper. Look at Dale. She comes, even when I don't know it, she comes to my rescue.
so how do I back up or can I not?
You can hit left to go back.
Yeah, your arrow keys should also work.
Oh, beautiful. Man, so this will go okay. Um, that is at Kankakee Sands on the Indiana side. And I would like uh, to start this presentation, I want to frame it. And I thought the best way to do it is the two areas that have bison that are on the east and the west end of the Kankakee River Basin, or kind of on the east and west ends. This is part of, it was 2 years ago that I took this at Kankakee Sands near Morocco, Indiana. Uh, it happened, I counted over 70. I think I got to 78. I could not get them all in the photo. Even when I tried some other things, I couldn't get them all. And that's not all 78 of them. And that's by far the most bison I've ever seen anywhere other than in Custer State Park in South Dakota when we were surrounded one time. But one of the cool things about both Medewin and Kankakee Sands is that they have reintroduced bison, an animal that existed here, what, about 150, almost 200 years ago. So I think they're very cool and they're just kind of fun to see too. So I'll start with Kankakee Sands. It's part of the Nature Conservancy in Indiana. I think it's their biggest one. If I think I'm right on that. And I broke it down two things on my personal most memorable experiences. Um, was bison viewing. That one was in 2024, about a year and a half ago. And then the other one just had this summer. They're doing an ongoing study of reintroduction of Franklin's ground squirrels, which are kind of cool. And that's one of the neat things about Kankakee Sands is that they can try a lot of different things, and they do, and they have. Uh, in terms of challenges and issues, it's very well run. There's not many issues other than the usual things, battling invasives and managing the bison, which take a lot of management because there's health issues, there's breeding issues, herd size issues, and that. And they also have a lot of volunteers, and that just takes work. But those are pretty normal things. It's a very run site, a very well run site. And these are the things that I've either done or known that I've done there. Um, Hiking, bison viewing, plant viewing. The plant cultures there are unbelievable. The things that have grown up there, it's just magnificent. And so there's a lot of studying going on. There's biking, there's birding. One of my neatest things, I should have included that most memorable experience, was uh, I went birding there with Jed Hertz. For those in the Kankakee area, you would recognize him as probably the county's preeminent birder, and Joel Greenberg, who wrote a natural history of the Chicago region. And I obviously was very much the third wheel on that outing, but we went there in the winter and we saw quite a few short-eared owls. So I really enjoy it. That's one of my I find it, if I'm happen to be heading south and going down 65, I will try and make the few trip miles off of 65 and visit it. I do it fairly, probably 3-4 times a year. Just I find the great expanse of the landscape. Uh, I just there's something to being in I think it's 8,000. I think they're up to 8,000 acres now. Uh, that size of landscape is just something that's hard to encompass. And every time I see it, I reminds me of what it must have been like for the pioneers coming across, the settlers coming across the prairie. So I have links for all of them, but unfortunately, they're not hot links on here. So if you can't find them yourself, feel free to get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to send them to you. Um, this, maybe I should ask if anyone can guess what this is. No takers. That's me. That's the shadow of me standing on top of a bunker at Medewan National Tallgrass Prairie. And I think I'm looking north there. Um, I It took me a while to fully learn to love Medewan. I grew up on a farm, and to me, at first, this was early on in my life. I thought prairies kind of looked like overgrown farms, and that they didn't impress me. But as I got to learn them as the years went on, it's uh, I have found that there is a richness to the prairie landscape that you just don't have otherwise. So, uh, oops, what did I do? Oh, I hit the space bar. Okay, sorry, still learning this one. Um, I just, whoops. This is one of my favorite photos. I think this is at least 20 years old. It's taken very near the rock outcropping on Kankakee River State Park. Um, and to me, the state park is, even though in some ways Medewan and Kankakee Sands are more profound sites, and they're larger. I mean, they're huge. I think Kankakee River State Park is kind of the anchor of 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 the sites in along what I would call the sites along the basin. I forgot one other thing to go over. What some of the things you can do at Medewan: hiking, bison viewing, plant viewing, touring the bunkers, deer hunting, turkey hunting. I drew. It's hard to draw a permit there, but I drew both turkey and deer permits over the years. Um, had a chance at a big buck one year, but it was faster than I was. And asparagus hunting, shed hunting, biking is probably, I would say that biking might be biking and just running, maybe the two biggest activities there. They have incredible, the time that they're open is like 4 a.m. to 10 p.m., which is astonishing at a public site. So there you'll see people running in the dark in the morning and things like that. It's it's a unique site. Um, I've had many experiences at Kankakee River State Park. Probably the most memorable was we used to take the church youth group there for a camping, and our youngest was like 2, 3 years old and tried to follow me into the river one time and got away in the current. If you've ever camped at Davis Creek, the current is pretty stiff there. Fortunately, one of the youth grabbed him before he went too far. That was the same trip that, for whatever reason, we had to move. And as we're in another campsite, we had raccoons and possums all over our campsite. So it was just wild. And the other one would be if you're a fisherman. I had one of those nights. Oh, it's been quite a while where I just had an hour or two before dark, and I went out and I made a few casts, and they were smallmouth were crazy on topwaters, which is the way I most love to fish for them. And in about an hour, I had caught and released 2 dozen of them. It was actually probably more than that. And finally, it was such a night that one of those nights where I just stood out in the water and waited until it was so dark that I was afraid I wouldn't be able to walk back, just standing there to savor it up. The challenges and issues are invasive species and the plants. If you bike or hike that trail, you will especially be aware of it, the main bike trail. There's invasive honeysuckle all along the trail. I it's it's going to be a massive project to get that taken care of. I'm not sure how they're going to be able to do it. So the activities there, I mean, you got the full gambit: hiking, picnicking, waterfowl hunting, blind building. I had the good fortune to draw a waterfowl blind 2 years with a buddy of mine. It's been 10, 12 years ago. But that's a big deal. It's one of the great adventures when they have the waterfowl blind draw there. In recent years, it's become quite a place to watch eagles. And I would say almost year round now. It used to just be in the winter, but there's a lot of eagles using the area, in part because the river tends to stay open except in very extreme conditions. Wet wading, fishing, paddling, birding, turkey hunting, biking. Oh, I should have had pheasant hunting. It's one of the great pheasant hunting sites too, put and take. And probably for my family, one of our favorite things, and if you've had kids, I would highly recommend this, is looking at crawfish where Rock Creek comes into the river. It's just one of those things that the kids will remember, especially if they get a little chomped on by a claw. Um, as you can probably tell, I just took the picture of this, Aroma Land and Water Reserve. which is part of Kankakee River Valley Forest Preserve. This is from the road. I like the sign. It's a very well done sign, and it's over the prairie part of it. The part that I probably use more is the wooded area. Um, Although I really like the prairie part, in part because I enjoy the fact that they have some a fair amount of prickly pear, which I just find a fascinating plant. Um, my most memorable experiences there, I have two that are probably at the top. One was years ago they used to have a naturalist who would she would lead events there, and one of them was a night hike through the wetlands to see glowing insects and other bugs. Uh, it was very cool event. And then and probably the most memorable is a night hike for owls in 2016 while the Cubs were on their World Series run. And as we were finishing up, you could hear fireworks going off and gunshots going off. And so we were kind of laughing and said the Cubs must have won. And they had, I think it was I want to say it was the Dodgers that they beat. In that, it was in the playoffs, not in the World Series. So the other thing was the last couple years, Dr. Jason Robinson from the Illinois Natural History Survey has led a group on foraging hikes where he talks about what you can forage. It just to be plain, technically, you cannot forage on Aroma Land and Water Reserve. It's a protected area. But I enjoyed that because it's a very rich area and lots of things. It's also, if you ever have a chance, happen to see a chance to sign up for his foraging hike, Holly does them. I think it's about once a year that generally she does one. That it's well worth your time. What's funny is that is not his specialty at the Illinois Natural History Survey. He's the bee guy, but and so if they have a problem with doing a construction site and there's concern about a rare bee, he's the one that gets called in to do a survey. But it's very neat that he's just obsessed with foraging. And he's a wonderful teacher. So the challenges, maintenance, especially of invasives, is a lot of these sites. That's one of the main challenges is controlling invasives. I would say in terms of uses, as I mentioned, it's a good site for prickly pear and other things. The bluebird boxes, when they were put in, I wasn't too sure but they're used. If you hike there in the summer, you can have a chance at seeing a bluebird. You can fish if you hike all the way back in, but I'm trying to think if I've ever actually seen anybody that went back there to fish. It's a mix of forest, prairie, and wetlands, which makes it very interesting if you're a plant person. And I think the biggest use of the site is probably hiking. We used to do a fairly regular family hikes, probably every couple weeks, and it just was. They also, if you have little kids, they have we call it the horsey park because they had horses that were out at the parking lot, play horses, plastic ones that could in. So that is, I think the questions are okay. It's kind of funny. I was looking, this is on Langham Island, and some of you probably recognize him, Trevor Edmondson, who is now the head guy. I should know his official title at Kankakee Sands in Indiana, but he was the leader of I think he was the leader or one of the starting people at Friends of Langham Island. Langham Island is in the state park. It's right It's right where you go into the one camping area. You got to wade across or row across, depending on what condition the river's in. I've done both, where I've rowed over and I've waded there. I also happen to like to fish in that area. Um, my most memorable experience at Langham Island was the day I took that photo, and that was touring the island and actually finding Kankakee mallow. It's one of the few places that's a native plant. In fact, I think it may be one of two. Um, it's just it's it's cool that it came back, and now this what was neat this summer. Karen, one of the volunteers, who also is a master naturalist, um, found another rare plant, uh, purple prairie. Do I have it right? Purple prairie clover, I think. Um, if I don't, Becky or somebody let me know that I got it wrong. But so, I mean, there's still that island is really, really cool. If you have a chance to get over, or if you're looking to volunteer, I would highly recommend it. The best way is to um, go on Facebook and find Friends of Langham Island and do it. Um, it's not huge, it's big, but it's cool for hike. And I went hiking, maybe overstating the case. Plant viewing, birding, and volunteering would be the main things there. I just like it because it's just a unique spot for that. It just that this rare plant grows there is just kind of wild. So, oh, I didn't see John Sullivan was there. So he, I think I had the plant right though. So, yeah. Um, oh, and ahead of myself. What did I do? When I was out taking photos, I think it was on Friday. I happened to get lucky. I love this photo. It's at Perry Farm. Um, I just got lucky. I was mainly looking. I thought it was an eagle at first, was sitting in the tree on the right there, and then when I got up and got a better photo, it was a red-tailed hawk. But then I realized I had a pretty good photo of the Perry Farm prairie. Um, Perry Farm Park has a multitude of options. They have an actual kind of a uh, actual probably overstated. They have a farm there. Uh, they also have the park area with the prairie and the caves, which are near where Bourbonnais Creek goes into the river. Uh, Probably my most memorable experiences there are our youngest son was really good at catching frogs, and at the bridge over Bourbonnais Creek, he could catch them there pretty good. And probably the other was just checking out the caves was quite good. It's it's a highly used park. People use it for walking, for running, um, and that's the challenge. Is that is juggling natural uses uh, and and native plants and that kind of stuff. That's a challenge a lot of places. And well, Spelunky is probably overstating the case. It's more looking into the caves than anything. Uh, there is the hiking. It's several miles if you get serious about the walking. Plant viewing there, plenty of it. And the birding, that's a pretty decent birding site just because you're near the water too. You can occasionally get an eagle coming over, and there is fishing down by the river, and people do that there. There is a trail back along the river when you get all the way back. But I think, to be honest, I think the most use of it may be for exercising. Uh, this is Willow Haven Park. It's a Bourbonnais Park District site. This is the front pond, and that's the one most people see. There's actually, to the back, there's another one. It's more intensely grown up, and but if you want to get more of an exercise, because this one is not much. If you do the hike around this one, it's not a big deal. But if you do the hike around both of them, you get a little more exercise in. And the back one, I think, is a little wilder. And I'm fascinated by the back one. Years ago, when the park first opened, it was a tremendous spot. It happened to coincide with our kids being small, and they would have programming there. We probably, at some years, we went twice a week in the summertime when the kids were off. They had all kinds of animal pelts, actual animals, skulls. It was just a fascinating area to have kids. And I'll be blunt, there was bad decisions by a recent park decision administration that took away most of that appeal. Some of that is being corrected now. I'm hoping that that can become another spot again where people can take their kids to get and experience the outdoors. It's a hiking, birding spot. It is a spot to see the activities of woodcocks in the spring when they're mating dances. I say that even though I've tried it multiple times and I have not yet seen one there, but I know people who have. So the problem is it shuts at dusk, and usually the best time to see the mating dance in the spring is right after dark. So I don't know how some people manage to see it, but I've never had luck actually seeing one. And as I said before, it's a great kid spot. Iroquois County State Wildlife Area is it. If you look at it, it just looks like a state wildlife area, but it's really rich in what it offers. I don't. It's by that. Well, I'll get to that here in a bit. Most memorable, it was toss up between our family picnicking there one time on the way home from Southern Illinois. We decided to come up Route 1 the whole way. It took hours and hours, but it was fun. And I also happened to get lucky and draw a turkey permit the first year it opened there, which was phenomenal because the birds weren't very smart, but I'm also not a very smart hunter. And so I didn't get one, but I had turkeys all around me. It's a great turkey hunting spot and deer hunting spot. And here, once again, maintenance and fighting invasives are the big issues, and juggling all the different uses of the park. Picnicking. This is one of the great. We don't have a lot of spots that have American red squirrels. Some people call them pine squirrels, but that is probably the best spot to see them in northeastern Illinois. There's quite a few there, and especially if you get around the evergreens, you have a pretty good chance of seeing them. Red squirrels, if you've never seen one, I'm not talking about the big fox squirrels. Red squirrels are about half the size of a gray squirrel, and they're a reddish oranges color, and they really like evergreens. That's why they're known as pine squirrels colloquially. It's as I mentioned, turkey and deer hunting. It's also a put and take pheasant hunting area. It's a squirrel hunting area, a dove hunting area. It's a wonderful place to hike when it's not hunting season. It's a good place to view wildlife. If you want to see deer and turkey at dusk or in the mornings, that's a pretty good place to go. There's a lot of there are some very rare plants, and I'm trying to remember some of the studies that I went on, but it's there are plants there that are like only there in Illinois. It's a good spot to be. I had the good fortune to go along on studies that were being done on bull snakes and ornate box turtles surveys, which, like I said, it's kind of a nondescript looking site, but it's got there's a lot of richness there for what it is. It's a cool site. This is Island Park, and if you look in the background, you can see the bridge. You can also, if you look really, really hard, you can see the ever-present geese wandering around. Some of them, sometimes there's a lot more wandering around in the upper left. Probably the most, I know this isn't technically a natural or a wild thing, but it's a wonderful place to see fireworks at. Well, you're not on the island, but you're on the shoreline. Um, I think it has some of the best fireworks around. But and also, if you have kids, I find it a wonderful spot to take. There's lots of things to play with, but you can also hike with the kids and take them back underneath the railroad tracks and go back. There's a bigger part of the island to the east, and so I found it was another one of my favorite spots when the kids were young. So, and like it's a well used area, so you have the challenges of juggling natural wonders and the use of by people. It also happens to be a pretty good fishing spot. It's a lot of fishermen use that area. Picnicking was there with the kids. Uh, Joel Greenberg, in his Natural History of the Chicago region, mentions it as a possible site for American red squirrels. I've been there a lot over the last 20 years, and I have never seen a red squirrel there. And I told Joel this just a couple weeks ago. And he goes, apparently there's not anymore. Because when he was researching the book, it would have probably been 20 or 30 years ago when he was compiling the research. And so things may have changed. But I know I have not seen a red squirrel there. And I look. Sorry, I'm just checking to make sure I'm not missing any. Oh, Nathan, I do not know um, on whether they have volunteers. I would suggest you call Bourbonnais Park District and ask, because I think they could use some uh, stewards there. I forgot to mention they also have dog park there. Uh, yeah, and Amber, I totally agree with you that the live animal stuff and just the presentations they would do at Willowhaven were unbelievable. It was one of my, I feel very fortunate that when our kids were little they had a very active programming there. Uh, Moments wetlands. It's it's I that this is an area that's hard to describe because it doesn't look like much, and it's kind of crammed in between farmland and personal housing and stuff. But it's a unique area. I think you have to kind of like wet areas to like it. I just I got it on a personal level. I got it. One of my, it was one of the first, I got a deer with my family. So, um, and again, it's the challenges and issues or maintenance and development of the site. It's hard for the public, unless you really know where you're going. It's a little hard to know where you can go and where you can't, because there is posted land all around it. And parts of it are nature preserves. So, and if you're paddling, I have paddling mentioned here, but if you're paddling there, you want to use some caution. It's deep water and it's fast. You got birding and turkey hunting and deer hunting, hiking and fishing and wildlife viewing. I threw this one, I kind of did them in the order of what the sites, in order of what I think they're of the interest would be. This is one I think you really have to be more of a wetlands person to enjoy. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. If not, somebody else get on and pronounce it right. I try. This is the Pukoon. I think I said that right. And I noticed it when I was touring Kankakee National Wildlife Refuge and Conservation Area. It was in the early year when with Marianne Hahn. It's not much. There's not much size there now. There's still very few acres. Challenges and issues. My most memorable experience by far there was, well, one was walking around with Marianne, and just because she's such a wealth of information, and that was fun. But the most was looking for ornate box turtles with Boykin spaniels. Just seeing those dogs work and find the box turtles was just astonishing. And they did. And ornate box turtles are I should have looked this up. I forgot to look up what their actual listing is right now in Illinois, but the Boykin Spaniels would find them. And it was just pretty cool to watch. Challenges and issues. This is one that this probably the angriest I've ever been in a public meeting was in October of 2016 in Moments. The misinformation that was being spread about the refuge is just, I find it unfathomable. I've never been more mad at a public meeting than I was at that one. And I also made me worry about the country that people would believe that kind of misinformation. Right now it's very small, but you can hike it and you can view wildlife, and there's some very good plants and birds there. I find it very frustrating that the refuge has been talked about for it's 30 some years now. And it's technically going, there is one now, there is land but it should be more. You look at Hackmatack up in the Wisconsin McHenry County border, they're up to over 1,000 acres already, and they started much later than Kankakee National Wildlife Refuge did. So I find it very frustrating, in case you can't tell. But this is Marianne Hahn explaining something to me, and I happened to catch her while she was telling me something about the site. I wanted to go over a few places that I did not mention, and in part because, especially the Forest Preserve of Will County, the Forest Preserve District of Will County, they have a bunch of really cool sites in the Wilmington Braidwood area. I've visited a few of them, but I just have not spent enough time on them to address them. But if you're somebody, especially if you're living close to that area, or you like wandering around, find a map and find some of the sites that they have over there. They're very very good for rare plants and animals. And I wish I had done more. I should have done some more of that before I did this. And I'll probably do that if I do this presentation again in the future somewhere. The other thing was on the Indiana side, I wasn't sure. There are two sites that I probably should have mentioned. And if I do this again, I would add them in. And one is LaSalle Fish and Wildlife Area. It's especially if you're a fisherman, waterfowl hunters already know about it. It's a pretty well-known waterfowl spot, but it's also a good spot to hike at. There's other kinds of hunting that go on there. It's a great fishing area with a lot of different options, and you can dump a boat in there, or a kayak or a canoe, and it's a cool area. And the other one is Willow Slough, which is, I left it off here because it is technically within the Kankakee River Basin, but what's unique about all these sites in that one area, there's getting to be a massive natural area there between Kankakee Sands, LaSalle Fish and Wildlife Area, Willow Slough, Iroquois County, state wildlife area on the Illinois side. Then also, it's not connected per se, but there is a 600 some acre Kankakee Sands on the Illinois side that, as you put them all together, it's a massive site. They're not all completely connected yet, but they're all together. It's a very interesting combination of site that I would expect in another 20 years we'll see a lot more in that area. So Bird Park in Kankakee, I'll just mention here, it's a wonderful spot to launch at. It's also a decent fishing spot. And if you want to have your kids out to play in a natural setting, it's a good spot to do that. I did not mention Des Plaines State Fish and Wildlife Area. Again, another multiple use site. I probably, if I do this again, I would include that because it's one of those things that you just have many options of things that you can do there. It's also part of another very massive wild area in conjunction with Medellin National Wildlife Area, and there's some forest preserves districts of Will County sites too that are part of it. Well, what did I? Well, I thought I had one here. Thought I had one more, but I don't see it. I was just going to say, if you got any questions, if a day from now or a week from now, you go, "Hey, I wonder about this," or if you know of some place that if I do this again, that I should include on, please get a hold of me at Uneasy Reach, bowmanoutside@gmail.com. And I am curious if anybody would have had a suggestion of another site that I should have put in. Oh, Mike, I must have missed something. I was trying to watch the chat. Oh, I see. Amber asked a question, and you played into Mike Clifford, who has been a long time combatant about, very justly, I would add, about stocking non-native rainbow trout are not native in Illinois, but they're stocked. I don't have a problem. It's a very popular program when they're stocked in lakes, but there's also stocked in Rock Creek, which is one of the more pristine waters we have in Northeast Illinois, and it's a very popular program. But I tend to agree with Mike that it scratches my head that we have issues with non-native and invasive fish. I would say this: the weather. Rainbow trout can't survive much above 67, 68-degree water temperatures. And with climate change, we have those water temperatures for many months now, so they don't last that long. Like, there might be a few stragglers that find a space, but yes, Potawatomi paddlers is, by the way, is if you're not acquainted with them, you should be. They're a very active group, and
If you need to get a hold of them, Frank Kohler or Bruce Coghill are the two that are really it started the Potawatomi paddlers and are really pushing it. So they do have 3 or 4 usually events planned for the summer. So just keep your eyes open for those.
oh, and Holly, you probably know this better than me, but Amber asked a question about the orchard at Perry Farm.
The orchard at Perry Farm is, I believe, set up. It was supposed to be something for like a memorial for people from the Park District, I believe. And I don't know about picking the produce there. I don't know. I do know that nobody maintains that at all. I know it's not pruned. I know it's not sprayed. They aren't doing anything with it. Oh, and
If
also I did want to say too, when we were talking about Willow Haven, that Willow Haven now has a new person in charge of the programming there. And I just talked with them yesterday and we set up 3 youth camps for the summer there.
now
And something to do with natural resources.
that's tremendous. I was really devastated when they started cutting that stuff out. It meant so much to my family and my
Well,
kids.
they thought they could make more money as a event space.
If Mike is still on here, are you saying that there's common carp in Willow Haven in the front pond or the back pond? He happens to be, and I guess Norman said the same thing. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I have. They used to years ago. They did not allow fishing at all, and then I noticed that in recent years they allow it now. And to be honest, getting common carp out of a system is really difficult. So, well, Mike, I saw that Mike made a reference to the people who were opposed to the Kankakee National Wildlife Refuge, or at least on the Illinois side, had passed on. But boy, there's still a lot of pushback on the Indiana side, and there's still residual pushback on the Illinois side too. So I don't know. That's very discouraging for me. I just still discouraging. Yeah, Friends of the Kankakee that's Mary Ann's group. Who one of the reasons that I had snuck a photo of her in at the end there. Um, I'm completely with you, Barbara. Yeah, I don't know if you're reading the chat. Mike Clifford is mentioning testing. They would do water sampling and that kind of stuff, and it was a big deal at the state park. The other oh any other questions or any areas that you think if I ever do this again that I should include?
Dale, did I miss it? Did you already answer Nathan's question about the grants to remove invasive brush?
No, I didn't. How did I miss that?
That was up at 622, he asked. I do not know of any for landowners that I don't know of any. Does if anybody else does, but I don't know of any grants for removing invasives for landowners.
I should probably know. Some of the people who are here might know even better too that are in the group. I don't know of any off of hand that for that. You can often get advice if you go uh, for advice that they can give you. But in terms of funds or actual equipment, I don't know of any. But I know pretty much managers that I know are very willing to be helpful. In fact, I drew a permit for pheasant hunting down at Saybrook, which is down near Gibson City, and the guys who do the maintenance on the site were talking to one of my buddies that I had there that has property in Kankakee County here, and he was asking for advice on how to get rid of willows, how to get them out so that they stay out, and they gave him a really good breakdown on what to do. So, I mean, utilize your wildlife biologists and your fisheries biologists in the area, whichever county you're in.